Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. As you can see, we're back on a second account. There is a fresh refreshing to be back here again. Took last week off to take a break and seeing what's been going on regarding Pixelgun 2, which there's a few things I would like to talk about in this video regarding it. And yeah, there's not really much I can better talk about in terms of the intro for this video, so might as well say let's get straight into the match. The one thing I would like to talk about before we start is with the Pixel Pass. They decided to do one change, which you've probably seen being much more of an issue. And one thing I do appreciate the developers retaining from the previous seasons with the two collector chests that we had from last season, with the currently now being the sniper as well as the heavy collector chest, so you have more options for both those two categories from the gallery, albeit not necessarily anything new or recent, more old or legacy weapons, but you have more options. Now the one thing you probably heard as of recently, which has been getting a lot more discussions, has to do with the weapons that we get for this season. With there currently just being one, that being the last tier weapon. You've probably seen that they decided to just remove the legendary weapon you would usually get like halfway through the season pass, which albeit not necessarily that many people would be using the legendary weapons, though they're practically good for a collection or for some people that probably rely on it. On the plus side, we do get a new pet, which you've probably seen, which we haven't necessarily seen a new pet in a while, that being the pet shrimp. Yep, a literal shrimp. Right, then the first match is going to be on Arabic Dust. So you've probably seen some of the community's discussion regarding Pixel 2 ever since we had the store page for it. With some players jumping to speculations that it seems to be akin or almost a one-to-one to another game that exists, that being Blocks Arena, which was probably the more common name that I've seen some of the community had sort of mention. Some players assume that Pixel 2 actually copied Blocks Arena in terms of some of the assets that it had, with the preview images not necessarily being a lot more different to each other. While some people assume that could Pixel 2 actually be Blocks Arena but under a different name, in terms of like the credentials of the studio that launched the game, being apparently akin or under the same company as Cubic Games, probably being with the parent company GDev. But anyways, it wasn't until a few days after when one of the community managers came to clarify that Blocks Arena was actually Pixel 2 but under a different name. There's probably some reasons why Pixel 2 was released under a different name, that being Blocks Arena, in which one of the things that they did clarify is they would want to do is sort of have some more data in terms of the interest or a bit of a beta test from other players that aren't necessarily too familiar with Pixel 3D to sort of try it out and see what they think about it. Which ideally would make sense if they released the game under a different name, and it's currently available in a few countries, one of them being Poland, Indonesia, and Mexico. Those are the locations that the game is available. It isn't available globally yet. Which if you guys are interested in playing Blocks Arena, although it is an old build, it was released on October 5th, and with the last update being in December. But if you do have any interest to see what an old build of Pixel 2, you can have to simply download it. Either you have to do is grab a VPN and sort of go to either of those three countries, or if you live in those three countries, it's available there. It's hard to see how the game looks. I decided to try it out myself, and one thing I say, it's somewhat interesting, though I'll probably do is wait until the full build of the game, that being the global release. And who knows, it'll probably be a lot more different than the one that we currently have with Blocks Arena. Alright, then second match is going to be on Scary Pizzeria, which I never expected this map to be on multiplayer. With this map only being available on co-op and arena, I never expect this map to be in multiplayer. It probably was back then. That heavy's pretty powerful, I would say. I'm trying to go after someone with that weapon. It's gonna be pretty chaotic to try to go against. Then you have existing weapons that are currently broken. If you ever wanted a compact map that isn't Silent School or Classical Pole, you got the best map here, currently. No top 3 I wouldn't necessarily mind. Like, wouldn't necessarily go pretty well with just the Dark Mage one. Right, and last match being on Classical Pole. Well, this is gonna be chaotic. Dare I say this is probably the most chaotic match I've seen in a while. And I guess that's gonna do for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a good day whenever you're watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next video.